Hi guys, this is the Advisor and welcome back to my channel. Guys, here is the full, complete and totally unedited verbal interaction I had with Mr. Patterson of the UIC on February 10th this year. Normally I would have a cursory prelim with the interviewee before the actual interview starts, and then I would cut that out of the actually published interview. But in this case, as it did not even turn out to be an interview, in my opinion, I'm including everything that had been said from the first word to the last. You know what the sad thing is? I did not even remember that I had also reminded him of the topic on the discussion before I gave him the floor. So, a slight recap. I told him the topic I needed to discuss and sent him the link to 4 of my best videos on said topic 1 full month before the interview. The day before the interview, I sent him one of my most hard-hitting clips and again reminded him of the topic. And at the very beginning of the planned interview, I again reminded him of the topic. In other words, I spoon-fed this man like a baby, and he still effed it up. How can a man who wants to run a country not be able to speak on a topic as mundane and as tangible as the crime situation that surrounds us? Even though he had been given all of the ammunition 1 month to prepare. Let's face it, as an aspiring leader of a country, he should be eclectic, which means he should be both knowledgeable and articulate enough to speak on virtually any topic that one might depict in an instant. And in this case, I did not catch him flat-footed, neither did I ask him to speak on quantum physics or on any weird topic, but something that was extremely mundane, something that affected every single Jamaican, including himself, I assume, and which is of concern to all of us. Anyway, without any further ado, let's just get right into it.
Oh, Sir Brian.
Sir Patterson, good afternoon, my brother. Good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon. You're not loud enough. Are you going to be talking to me via WhatsApp?
Sorry, if I'm going to be doing what?
You're going to talk to me via WhatsApp, right? Or straight?
No, yes. I'm just going to, yeah, you can just talk to me right here and I'll record it. It's recording now. It's fine. But before I even go into this, because I'm not even starting what I'm saying to you now, I'm not really publishing that, but I'm saying you seem too much of a nice guy to be in this dirty game, so I hope you have your big boy pants can put on in another game, Well, I hope so. All right. Anyway.
Just want to let you know, I just muted myself for a second. I'm live on my program at the same time.
Sorry. Hold on. Start again. You said you just wanted me to know what?
I want you to know that I am live on my program at the same time.
Okay, all right, great. Well, in that case, let's get into it. Yeah, Mr. Patterson, for my viewers, just to intro, all right, I can do the intro after for my viewers when I'm putting it on. So I'll just get right into it. Sir, as you know that my pet issue is crime. Because as far as I'm concerned, once crime is fixed, the economy and everything else will just follow automatically. Once you fix crime. And therefore, I've always had crime as my little pet peeve. Now, sir, we have seen over the past 40-odd years, 50-odd years, that the PNP and JLP have not managed to break the back of crime. They have not ever gone on top of the game where crime is concerned. So you, as the new kid on the block, I'm very interested in knowing, based on what these guys have done so far, what would you have done differently? Now, I just open it up and you can tell me what you would do, because I am looking for a hero and I don't know if you are that hero. So over to you, sir.
Well, I am not trying to be a hero, because heroes normally end up dead. So,
We all do.
well, I know, but they normally end up dead prematurely. So I am not trying to be a hero, and I'm definitely not a messiah or anything like that. But I believe I have a lot I can contribute to solving most, if not all, of our politically related problems. You ask, what would I have done differently from the other two political parties that we have? Well, first of all, we have to understand that the other two parties are the genesis of the crime problem. So, first of all, if I would have been our founding fathers, among our founding fathers, I would not have participated in creating the culture of crime and corruption that we now have today. So, two parties have spent the better part of 79 years helping to perfect the culture we now have, and we have to undo that. So, what did they do wrong in summary? In summary, they allowed the colonial master, the ones who abducted our people, raped our people, and robbed our people, they allowed them to prescribe to us the system of governance that we should follow. And that system of governance is based on the idea that we need to be divided in order for us to have good politics and good governance. And so they divided us into two tribes, and over the course of 18 years, from 1944 to 1962, they trained us to fight each other for scarce benefits and spoils, and we have perfected that to the point where we are now fully dysfunctional, and with each passing year, our people are marching fast back into slavery. Now, part of the problem that they created was that they imported guns into the country and created garrison communities, and they empowered gangs and don leaders by giving them political contracts, government contracts, and in time empower them to the point where they become semi-independent while still maintaining certain levels of relationships. And now you have a very, very strong organized crime culture in Jamaica, which transcends Jamaica's borders and include international criminal cartels. Now, if we're going to get rid of the problem, we have to begin by understanding that we need to get rid of the source of the problem. So the source of the problem are two political parties that are significantly connected with criminal enterprise. And if we're honest enough as Jamaicans, we can come to terms with that the parties themselves are really a more polished version of any gangs in Jamaica. They're the most dangerous of all gangs because they also control state power. So they control the food, they control our taxes, they control our international relations, they control the treaties we enter into, and they can significantly affect our lives on a day-to-day basis because they control the economy, the education system, the healthcare system, and the social safety net to what extent there's one. So clearly, we have a serious problem. And the best thing that the Jamaican people can do to begin to solve the crime problem is to make sure that we vote out those who depended on it, who are connected to it, and who has a vested interest not to have us fully understand it. When you elect the UIC, you're giving us the power as an independent political party, one that is not tainted by crime and corruption, one that has no vested interest to cover up the past or to cover up even the present relationships. And that is going to be the beginning stages of breaking the backbone of crime and corruption in Jamaica. Now, what are the policies that we're going to follow? Our number one policy when it comes on to fighting crime is to see crime as a symptom and not a cause, which means we have to look at the whole thing from a holistic standpoint. This includes, for example, recognizing that the leadership of crime comes from the top. So you must have a top-down approach to crime fighting. So you have to make sure that you find the criminal elements in our government, in our police, and in the private sector. Yeah, at the top. Those who are covering for criminals, those who facilitate the transactions of criminals, those who provide cover through the legal system for criminals, you have to go after them. And one of the best ways to find them is to follow the money. They need to look at their net worth, their assets, their associates' assets, their family assets, and identify the source of those assets through a forensic audit that will then point you to how they became wealthy and how they're maintaining that wealth. Some would have sanitized it to some degree, washed it to some degree, money laundering, of course, but you can still find the links if you search for them properly. And you start by eliminating the corrosive element at the top of the police force, at the top of the government system, at the top of the private sector system. You secondarily have to make sure that you secure and protect your borders. And that means repurposing the army to move away from civilian type police type work and to be fully involved in border control 360 degrees, the entire country, including customs, and have the army fully engaged in and managing the inflow and outflow of goods and services and people out of the country. This will include not only Coast Guard activities, but also in introducing things like drone and other surveillance technology in order to really pin down the movement of goods and services, products and people and equipment such as guns and ammunition coming in and out of the country. Having dealt with your borders and having taken a top-down approach to those who are a part of the criminal syndicate in the country, you need to provide alternatives for the people. So the first alternative you want to provide, which we have, is we're going to implement a youth employment solution program. Now, you do know that our school system fails 70% of our students every year or more, which means every single year, for every 100 student that comes out that is graduated, 70 of those students are ill-equipped to be productive citizens, to be effective citizens. So we have a serious problem because we're oversupplying the wrong kind of citizens, while the good ones, the 30% that are somewhat good, whether they have maximum qualifications or 75% or 50%, that 30%, of that 30%, roughly 60 to 70% of them will migrate shortly afterwards to other countries. This means we're creating a high density, a high concentration of the wrong kind of citizens because of the failing of our education system. Now we're going to go into the cause of that, but I'm going to focus on the solution right now. So the solution is to have a 100% intake of any student who is not going on to university or to a trades program or to some other kind of very, very productive pursuits such as entrepreneurship. Take all of those students into an internship program, a paid internship program, where they go immediately from high school to the workforce. And they're going to get specific jobs, which they're going to be required to perform in, and they're going to be paid. They're going to be subsidized and paid to grow in those companies, and of course, to move on to other companies. But this is going to be a planned, managed system, similar to if they were in school. So they're being tracked just the same way. What this is going to do, it is going to deny the gang a ready and steady supplier of recruits. So you're now starving the gangs of our young people coming out of school that are ill-equipped. You're also starving the gangs for guns and ammunition by having proper border control. You're dismantling their leadership by taking out the top men in the government, in the police, and in the private sector by going after them forensically and otherwise, intelligence-based. And so now you're clamping down all of the key avenues. There's a fourth element, though, that we need to keep in mind, and that is many persons who left school in that 70% failure category are now adults in different forms. They might be 25, 35, 45. So what we want to bring in, instead of a welfare program, which Jamaica doesn't have a serious welfare program, We want to bring in a workfare program. So we don't believe in welfare. So we're going to have a workfare program. This is where if you're an adult and you're unemployed and you want to be employed, we will place you. So there are many things now that we're going to be able to use to do that.
Yeah. Sir,
Yes, go ahead.
Sir Patterson, you are giving me a very broad sociological fix for a general situation that basically every country has and need to deal with it in that broad sense. But I think what I was more looking for is not that broad epistemological view. I was looking more from an operational strategy, from methods. For example, how do you get the guns? I haven't heard you said anything about guns. How do we stop guns from coming into the ports? I don't hear you say anything about that. How do you take out the leadership? You talk about how to take out the top men from the army, police, bad men, right? And there is no methods. So I was more looking from an operational strategy point rather than the broader sociological things that you give. I just wanted to see if you had anything on that as how would we carry these things out? What was the method that we would use and the strategies that we would put into effect to bring about this change?
Well, I totally gave you enough information because there's no way we're going to get into detailed operations or even detailed strategies because some of what we have to do, it's best if it's not said, publicly. But generally speaking, we, as I said before, border control is what we're going to use, and I said repurposing the army. Right now, the army is being misused and is not being properly directed to target things that they need to target, which is our border control to stop the guns and ammunition. So that's one piece of operation and strategy, but I can't get into more details than that. On another key strategy, to me, that's very important strategy. If you don't take care of the 70% that's coming out every year out of your school, if you don't give them something meaningful to do, the gangs will find something for them. In fact, without even the gangs finding them, they will find many things to do that are not so useful to society. So we have a plan that is very specific. Get our youth into internship program, get our adults who are not functioning effectively in the work program. We're going to have a work program for them, work here. It's tied to a strategy. The strategy is let us recognize Jamaica's strategic advantage. Our competitive advantage as a nation, Jamaica, is not backside mining, it is farming. And so we have shifted away from farming, little by little, and become very reliant on a non-renewable form of economics, which is mining, where they destroy our topsoil, they destroy our waterways, they destroy our air quality, they push our farmers out, and they cause medical problems from the dust and the chemicals that comes from that. So we recognize that. So a part of our crime plan, if you will, is to move away from an industry which is dangerous and disastrous on so many levels and shift to an industry which has been depleted and degraded and destroyed by 79 years of mismanagement to the point where we have now lost sugar, banana, coffee, and so many other agricultural industries. So we need to reverse that. So I have been to the Netherlands many times. The Netherlands is a small European country, about 17 million people, much smaller than most European states. Yet still, they're the second largest exporter of food. Now, Jamaica has everything the Netherlands would love to have, but we're not using it. So the UIC is going to ensure that we make Jamaica into the world's greatest producer and exporter of organic foods and therefore become the organic food capital. Why is this so important? This is going to give us the opportunity to provide some 500,000 to a million, listen, new jobs here in Jamaica using modern technology of organic farming and permaculture. This is going to put us on the cutting edge. We won't be able to provide all the jobs, of course. We're going to have to import people because we'd have used up all of our people. But this is going to allow us to have a very dynamic workfare program where we're now training and employing a massive number of Jamaicans to become a part of a great food chain, which will be providing the world with organic food at premium prices and premium quality, which will be needed right around the world. Similarly, we're going to augment our agricultural program with a water harvesting program that will make Jamaica a net exporter of water. Again, a very precious commodity that over the next 20 years will be dwindling significantly. If we allow bauxite mining to rob us of our what do you call it now, flora and fauna, of our green spaces, that will reduce our rainfall, which will then reduce our water table. So we have to be very smart and manage our biodiversity carefully to trap and keep as much water and make water a prime product of Jamaica and therefore keep our environment intact. This dovetails nicely with organic farming and the permaculture technology because now you're having healthy food, healthy people, massive water harvesting, a big harvesting network that provides the water we need plus export quality water. And then finally, Mr. Bryant, I want to link into that now as a part of our strategy, making Jamaica a renewable energy center. So we're going to now train our students in school from primary school coming through to understand renewable energy, biogas, solar, hydro, geothermal, and this mix of energy and understanding how to build, maintain, and manage this form of energy together with water management, together with food production, and making us the center of excellence in that area, thus making Jamaica water, food, and energy secure, providing the jobs we need to get our young people and adults away from crime, and at the same time, driving up our GDP, increasing our foreign exchange because of our additional export, and thus raising the standard of living, the GDP per capita, and making us as competitive as Singapore or better.
Okay, that sounds well. I must say you have said some things that is I find that I like the broad aspect of how you do things. It seems that you have a real grasp of what the country needs in the broadest sense, and that I think is very refreshing. Uh, so basically, I can say that you talk the talk. It's only a matter of time to see if when the time comes you can walk that broader walk.
Yes.
But the talk sounds interesting.
I'm sorry?
The talk sounds pretty interesting. But it's only you get the chance now to walk the walk,
Here's the challenge we have, Mr. Brian. Here's the challenge. We have experimented now for 79 years with two parties who have also talked the talk.
Exactly.
They have given us promises after promises. They've told us that they're going to have money in our pockets. They told us to log on to progress. They told us about prosperity and all of that kind of stuff. And even now, they're very good at talking. The Prime Minister has been very aggressive at copying my talking points and, regurgitating them and doing all kind of temporary things to see if he can captivate the mind of the people. So we're not new to this. But here's where we are as a people. We are at a place where we have three options before us, really. Option number one is that we vote for one of the two colonial parties, knowing that based on their performance over the last 79 years, it is very likely that they will perform at the same level or worse, now that they're fully indoctrinated in wasting our time, in stealing our money, and in deceiving us. So we don't have any expectation of something different from what they've done the last 79 years. So option number one, we vote for one of them and we can expect more of the same. Option number two is that we do what 63% of Jamaicans did in the last election, and 52% did in the previous election, and 48% did in the previous election by not voting. So a large number of Jamaicans, especially young people now, are turning away from the political process. And I can understand why. The two parties have failed them, and they have even associated that failure now with politics in general. So option number 2, which many Jamaicans are opting for, is to just not participate in the voting process any at all, just to say, I give up. Option number 1 and 2 give you the same result. If you vote for one of the two of them, or if you refuse to vote and allow one of the two of them to win, you will get the same result. Option number 3 is to vote for the UIC and see if something different will happen. There is a 50-50 chance that we will either be just like them or better than them. There's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, that makes good reasoning. That's good reasoning.
If I were you, if and I am you, because I'm a Jamaican too, then the logic to me is it's better for me to give myself a 50-50 chance of something better than to allow something that I have 79 years of knowledge to go on as to how that is going to turn out. Now, in doing so, you have to assess the UIC. You have to find basis to assess it. On what basis will I assess the UIC? Well, one, you need to look at the leadership. You need to look at the manifesto. You need to look at the causal relationships. Now, if the typical politician, anybody in Jamaica who is, let's say, intelligent, bright, not particularly poor, they make a choice as to what they will do in terms of engaging in the political arena. Almost everybody chooses to join one of the two parties. You have young, bright persons like Damian Crawford, Lisa Anna, what's his name, Andre Horton. Where do they all go? They all go into one of the two existing parties. Now that tells me that either they are ignorant, they have not assessed the last 79 years. They have not evaluated our economy. They have not evaluated our social decline. They have not taken the time to look at where Jamaica is coming from and where it is now under those two parties. And because they're ignorant, they choose to join. The other option is they're not ignorant at all. And they have reasoned and rationalized that it's much easier, much safer, much more lucrative if they join one of the others. Say if a madman like me come along and decide not to follow in their footsteps, but to start something new and different and invest time and energy and money into it, given all the odds, it stands to reason, in my opinion, that I would rather side with such a person, because it means that they must have my best interest at heart, because they have chosen the most difficult, the most painful, the most unlikely path to political power. If I wanted simple political power, I would have easily joined one of the two. And I can tell you this, had I done that, I would be a member of parliament today.
Oh, I see. All right. Well, Mr. Patterson, I think you have I honestly think you have said a number of nice things, and I think I really am going to put this out for everybody to hear, because people need to hear. You need to be in a democracy. It is very important that everyone hears what everybody who puts themselves up for leadership has to say, and what's in their hearts, what's in their minds, and so on. So I will leave the rest of the nation to judge, and I certainly am going to give you your time. So is there anything else you'd like to add on the whole issue of your possibly dealing with crime or...
I could talk for a year.
Okay. Well, that's good. Politicians always can do that. But you know the thing with YouTube, that people don't listen for more than half an hour. So I don't want to keep it and then cut off and not hear half of what you say. So I'd rather come on with like 30-minute stints so people can absorb because of people attention span. So,
Yeah,
but
no,
add something else, and then what we do is that I'll have you back another time, and so on, and
sure.
make sure that everybody listens.
No problem. What I discovered, you see,
Yeah,
if the topic is juicy enough, if the topic is theatrical enough, if it smack of some kind of soap opera, I see people spending 2 to 3 hours.
yeah, man. Of course. Look how them sit down with good housewife of real housewife of Potomac and all them stupidness. And if I
Yeah,
did something
yeah,
with
like,
Beyonce and any other little thing, yeah, but real thing they not they don't have that time.
yeah, they only don't have the time for serious discussion.
Right,
That's
right.
right.
That's so true.
But no man, but thank you for having me, and I look forward to joining you again. We can talk about other subject matters.
Of course, miss. Of course, my brother. And
One
thank you so
area,
much. Thank you so much
one
for
area.
taking the time and accommodating me. And I look forward to further meaningful discussions over the weeks and months and well into the future. Okay, sir?
All the best. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you. All right. Cool, cool.